What's up YouTube? It is time for another video in which I shall sort of explain the thought process behind my HUD and UI, how I set it up, why I have my UI elements the way I have them, how I have my abilities set up where they are, and so on. Let's get right into it. First of all, I would like to state that I really dislike the lack of customizability, and some of the default UI elements are super clunky for my taste, personally. And what I mean by this is the way you can move everything around and change the size and whatever is great, but the fact that you can't change the outlook of certain UI, like the default UI elements, bugs me a lot. Something that you could fix with add-ons, for example, but since we can't have them in Final Fantasy, we're stuck with the default one. As a concrete example, the target frame, in my opinion, is absolutely atrocious. It's a long, thin bar that you can't stretch or otherwise change in any direction. It is the way it is, and it is going to take a pretty large portion of your screen, no matter what you do with it or wherever you put it, and decreasing the size to a minimum just makes it unusable. Trying to make it as small as possible, that just, makes it unusable in my opinion. You can't see the percentages, name, and whatever. Or the cast for that matter. Also, no target option for the target or focus target frames. I just cannot understand why this isn't a thing. I'm pretty sure this is like baseline for any MMO. It will be super useful to just be able to tell what your for example, who your focus target in, for example, PvP. You'll have a black mage targeted and they're casting a sleep or a fire for it. You'll instantly know who that fire for or sleep is going for. You'll know how to prepare. But right now it's kind of like a educated guesstimation right now who they're actually going to target it on. So that's, I dislike that a lot. Another one is your HP, MP, and TP. I don't like the way they're set up into a very, again, long horizontal line into 3 bars that show it. I mean, you could basically ignore them since you can see all of that information in your party list anyway, but just personal gripe with that. From the previous MMOs that I've come from, for example, WoW and SoulTor, they've had pretty much the best way of putting all that information in a neatly, tightly packed form, which is like having a character portrait, and then next to that is your HP and all of your resources, MP, and whatever you might have. Overall, I guess what I'm saying with this rant is that I really dislike how much vertical space a lot of this centric UI elements take, and how you can't really change them around a lot, except for the size. But yeah, that's /rant over, and let's get into the actual meat of this video. Alright, so probably the most glaring things out of the way. First, why do I have my chat in the upper left corner? That's basically just a habit from the earlier MMOs that I played. For example, like I mentioned before, SoulTor and WoW, I just put it there originally, and I kind of got used to it, so that's why it's there. It's easiest for me. And it's also there because I find myself keeping my eyesight more in the middle and the upper half of my screen rather than the lower part, which I see a lot of people do, like most people would do, because their hotbars are probably there, whatever. But that's really because I rarely actually look at my hotbars. I know where all of my skills are. I don't need to be constantly looking at them to see what I'm using. And I have most of my important cooldowns tracked in the middle part of my screen on both sides of my character, on left and right. So I don't really need to look on the lower half. And the second thing, which I've gotten from a lot of people, for some reason, is why are my UI elements so small? How can you see anything that you have on your bars? Well, like I just mentioned, probably answered this question as well, is I rarely actually look at my hotbars. And also, like the party list and whatever, why they're so small, I can see them just fine. I don't need them taking a huge portion of the screen. Lets me see a lot more things, even though everything is kind of closely packed in the middle near each other. I want it to take as little space as possible so that I can actually see most of the stuff that is going around me. But yeah, like I don't have any difficulties distinguishing the smaller icons with quick glances around my screen. So yeah. Alright, so with those two things out of the way, let's get into the actual reasons for the whole UI, why everything is placed, how and where they are. The main point of my UI is to have all of the combat-centric elements near the middle of the screen, around the point where my gaze is for the most part, so that it avoids unnecessary eye movement and keeps my focus on the action in the middle of the screen. Party frame is near the middle on the left side so that I can quickly notice debuffs, sleep, stuns, full swings on my party members, for example, and who needs healing the most. The reason why it's on the left side is because the debuffs that way will be near the middle of the screen. Instead, some people like to have it on the right side, which is kind of like not good for me personally. Also, focus target frame is right near that one above the middle halfway point of the screen, because the cast bar is actually under the health bar and the name, so that makes it easier for you to see, or for me to see, important casts quickly, such as sleeps, imperial arrows, fire force, whatever. And both of these are near each other because in PvP as a healer you'll be glancing at your party frame quite a lot anyway, and quickly seeing cast buffs on your focus target without looking around too much will let you anticipate and adjust to incoming damage better and faster. It's pretty much the point of that one. Status effects are basically around my character. Buffs are on the left side and debuffs on the right side, which makes it really easy to see what I have on myself, debuffs, buffs wise, without glancing around too much. HP, TP, and MP parameter bars, like I mentioned earlier, I don't need to have them near the middle of my screen because I can see all of that in the party frame anyway, so they're near the bottom of my screen. Map position is a personal preference in the lower right corner. I'm not going to be looking at it too much, but it's still sort of close by so that I can glance over it too quickly. And I have my larger map positioned over it, and I'll have sort of like a picture depicting that on the screen. For example, to have the whole frontline map open at all times when I'm in those modes, or just, in general. Alright, and then we get into my hotbars, which obviously all of my heals are on the main hotbar for really quick access, and the basic rule is that all of the skills and things I want really quick access to are on the main one. For example, disable, which you want to use really quickly if you notice their focus target is bursting and you want to decrease the damage that they're doing to help you heal them. I also have a macro for that to use it quickly on a focus target. That also uses on a target if you don't have a focus target. Put it on the screen. Your cleanse for obvious reasons. Celestial opposition for that AoE stun to get out of sticky situations, or 20-second attunement or whatever, extending all of the buffs. Blizzard 2, defensive purposes, getting people off of you, either by faking it or just casting it through. Time dilation, as pressing multiple buttons, because I'm playing on the controller, arrow keys for party member targeting, who you want to extend those buffs on, and additional command if it was anywhere else for about the main cross hotbar would be unnecessarily complicated for those quick uses. And the same goes for collective unconscious, basically a bubble, and sinister as well. You don't want to make using those abilities too complicated, or at least I don't want to. And then everything offensive and rarely used things such as LB, card discard macros, attunement, getting attunement off of your early macros are in the second set, which is basically the new function that they added recently, which is double tapping R2 or L2. Also sex harmony or whatever. Things that you won't need instant access to. And then the third set of my cross hotbars is the commands that use R2 to L2 and L2 to R2. Mainly use these for the extra cooldowns that I couldn't fit on my main hotbar, but I can still get pretty much instant access to because it's really easy for me to press those commands. Also, cards are in there. I can reliably access these super fast, and they're not dependent on which hotbars that I'm on at the moment. So that's really good. I don't really switch anyway. I don't really switch any of my hotbars at all anyway, but just in case. The double hotbars that are basically are the hotbars that are floating on the left and right side of my screen near the middle are basically for cooldown tracking purposes. They're just there to signify and let me easily glance over to see which cooldown is off for how long and which I have available. It has my PvP abilities and all my centric cooldowns. And like I said, I rarely, if ever, take a look at my hotbars, so these kind of like let me focus on the things happening on the screen without glancing all over the place and losing focus. The middle single ability in the center of the screen is basically a sort of like a very centric ability that you use a lot for all of my jobs. Astrologian has the card draw because I can tell which card I draw instantly just by seeing the color of the icon. And I don't even need to be looking directly at it. I can look at it from the corner of my eye and instantly know what I drew and what to do with it. So that's why I have it there. It's really useful. I found out this recently. I tested it out and it was really super useful. So definitely try that out if you want to. It took me a while to get used to it, but once I did, it was super useful. Also, for that purpose, there's no need to glance over to my buffs, which card I drew, because I might have a lot of buffs on me and debuffs. Might become a mess, or rely on the floating text to tell you like which card you drew and then act on that. You'll instantly know which card you drew, or at least I do. And that pretty much covers my entire HUD and UI, why I have things set up the way I do, and all the reasons behind them. And then I'll just quickly switch over to the HUD layout screen. That will probably help you guys understand more and more visibly about where everything is placed. There's only a couple of things here to mention, which is hotbars 8 and 9, which are basically my cooldown hotbars, are configured to be by dimensions 3x4 because there weren't enough space in just those two hotbars. I wanted to add more space for the rest of my jobs so that everything fits nicely. I added hotbars 10 and 6 as an additional help for that in dimensions 4 to 3 to get the rest of my abilities neatly. I don't think anything else needs to be commented on because I already explained why everything is where it is. So I'll just kind of like let you guys enjoy and explore my HUD and UI in peace. So I'll see you, or basically I'll talk to you at the end of the video. And that's pretty much the whole video about how I have my HUD and UI set up, the reasons behind it, and the thought process behind it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I received a lot of requests over comments and messages over multiple videos to do this sort of a video, so I hope this was helpful. I guess if you were kind of like looking at my earlier videos, there was a not exact this setup. I think it was like a rougher version of this or the earlier version. And I think now I kind of like get everything exactly where I want it to be, and I'm perfectly comfortable with it. So I'm sorry if this is kind of like not the exact setup that you wanted an explanation for, but this is what I'm using right now. So hope you guys found it useful. If you like this video, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. Let me know your thoughts below about any further questions about how I have my HUD set up, whatever. And also subscribe for more content in the future. The next video should be coming by Tuesday, but latest on Wednesday, about new healers, fears, and sort of like a lot of the most common mistakes that new healers do to help you get right into the new season that is starting on Tuesday with the patch to 3.56. So let's see you guys in that video. Peace and have a good one.
Straight like that.